The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Today, the Reverend Dr. Phil Craig of the Greater Springfield Community Church in Queens will deliver the invocation. Reverend?
First of all, let me say thank you for having me today. And since this is Queen's Day, I'd just like to give a big shout out to some of the Queens senators that I do know. Senator Gineris, Senator Lieu, Senator Sanders, and Senator Comrie. They're very good individuals from Queens. All right, let us pray. Dear Lord, heaven of earth, make a rule of all things. We, the benefactors of your grace that is renewed each and every day, we humbly express our sincere and profound thanks for all things that you have given unto us. Lord, I pray that this afternoon, that you will grant this governing body divine wisdom to legislate laws and policies that will enhance and protect the lives of all New Yorkers. God, give these legislators a spirit of unity and purpose to make our state the empire of the world, the melting pot of culture and diversity, and working and living as one people. God, have your way in here. And Lord, and if you don't do anything else, give the enemy a nervous breakdown against every plot, plan, and scheme that may come against these legislators. And this we ask in the name of our God of our faith. Let everyone in this house say amen.
Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Monday, May 9, 2022, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Sunday, May 8, 2022 was read and approved. On motion, the Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. The Secretary will read.
Senator Rivera moves to discharge from the Committee on Judiciary Assembly Bill number 7368A and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 6522A, third reading calendar 449. Senator Gianaris moves to discharge from the Committee on Insurance Assembly Bill number 9284A and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 8315A, third reading calendar 663. Senator Comrie moves to discharge from the Committee on Cities Assembly Bill number 355A and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 4013A, third reading calendar 727. Senator Skoufis moves to discharge from the Committee on Housing, Construction, and Community Development Assembly Bill number 8646 and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7858, third reading calendar 821. Senator Brisport moves to discharge from the Committee on Social Services Assembly Bill number 6709B and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 5759B, third reading calendar 836. Senator Sepulveda moves to discharge from the Committee on Finance Assembly Bill number 2441 and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 2144, third reading calendar 856. Senator Brooks moves to discharge from the Committee on Agriculture Assembly Bill number 4978B and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 1289B, third reading calendar 980. Senator Steck moves to discharge from the Committee on Health Assembly Bill number 9561 and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 7756, third reading calendar 988.
So ordered. Messages from the Governor. Reports of standing committees. Reports of select committees. Communications and reports from state officers. Motions and resolutions. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, amendments are offered to the following third reading calendar bills by Senator Parker, calendar 120, Senator Kaplan, calendar 765, Senator Kruger, calendar 869, Senator May, calendar 938, Senator Mannion, calendar 972, Senator Kavanaugh, calendar 1007, and Senator Gorin, calendar 89.
The amendments are received and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
I now wish to call up the following bills, which were recalled from the Assembly and are now at the desk. Senate Bills 284B, 7107A, and 6761A.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 2, Senate Print 284B by Senator Myrie, an act to amend the election law. Calendar number 540, Senate Print 7107A by Senator Mannion, an act to amend the mental hygiene law. And calendar number 1023, Senate Print 6761A by Senator Savino, an act to amend the general business law.
Move to reconsider the votes by which these bills were passed.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Sewell, Cousins, White, ayes 62.
The bills are restored to their place on the third reading calendar.
Call for the following amendments on those bills.
The amendments are received, and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar. Senator
Please
Gianaris.
recognize the Minority Floor Leader.
President, on page 45, I offer the following amendments to calendar number 912, Senate Print number 7423 by Senator Borrello, and ask that the said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar. And on page 59, I offer the following amendments to calendar 1059 to Senate Print number 7416A by Senator Borrello, and ask that this bill also retain its place on the third reading calendar.
The amendments are received, and the bills will retain their place on the third reading calendar. Senator Gianaris.
At this time, Madam President, I move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolution 2536.
Those in favor of adopting the resolution calendar with the exception of Resolution 2536, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The resolution calendar is adopted, Senator Gianaris.
President, can we begin by taking up previously adopted Resolution 2287 by Senator Sepulveda? Read that resolution's title only and recognize Senator Sepulveda.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 2287 by Senator Sepulveda, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim May 10, 2022 as Taiwan Heritage Day in the state of New York.
Senator Sepulveda on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to present this resolution. It is with great pride and honor that I do so, because I have many friends from the Taiwanese and Taiwanese American community here today. For decades, the people of Taiwan have contributed to the economy, culture, and human values of New York State. In our state, we have a significant presence of this hardworking and visionary community. Many community organizations, nonprofits, and relief organizations belong or are funded by Taiwanese families and have established service in our state for many people. Investments by U.S. companies in Taiwan and investments by the Taiwanese company in New York are numerous and represent hundreds of millions of dollars and jobs. We also have bilateral agreements on the important issues such as health, education, and environmental conservation, and social services. The contribution of this community to our state, we are grateful for. They are important, and I think it's important also that we recognize the work that they have done for the people of the state of New York, and more particularly for me, the people of the South Bronx. Now, we know about the agreements. We know about the bilateral economic programs. We know about the exchange of jobs and business and our delegation trips where many elected officials are taken to Taiwan. But what many people don't know is the contribution that the Taiwanese government and Taiwanese not-for-profit organizations and business organizations, not many people know the contribution that they bring to the South Bronx. I represent one of the poorest counties in the entire state of New York and one of the poorest in the United States. And what the Taiwanese government has done, and Taiwanese organizations, which I'll mention quickly, have done is help alleviate some of the issues and needs that our people in the South Bronx have had, especially our children. During the pandemic, the Taiwanese government contributed over 500,000 facial masks to 250,000, which we gave to Health and Hospitals Corporation, but kept the rest for the people in the Bronx. Every year since I've been an elected official, and even beforehand, Taiwanese organizations, the Taiwanese government have contributed thousands of toys for the children of the South Bronx. I had the honor and privilege of visiting Taiwan when I was a member of the Assembly. And from the moment that I arrived there, and ever since, I've developed relationships and friendships that I believe will be relationships and friendships for the rest of my life. I am so thankful to the Taiwanese government and our Taiwanese organizations for the work that you do for the people of the South Bronx. I can never repay you, but certainly I wanted to take time to recognize and honor and mention the services you bring to the Bronx. To our guests, again, please accept our gratitude for the commitment that you have shown to the Bronx family and to New York State. We're glad to be here. We're glad that you're here. I'm glad that I've met so many of you, and I have wonderful colleagues in government that has also worked with this community. Now, I'm going to take 2 seconds just to mention the organizations, because there's so many. But the delegation today was led, obviously, by Ambassador James Lee of the Taipei Economic Cultural Office in New York, the Deputy Director, Hans Chang of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in New York, Mr. Raymond Sang, who's the President of the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association of New York, Mr. Tom Su, who's the President of the Taiwan Center of New York, Mrs. Patsy Chen, Vice President of the Taiwan Center of New York, Mr. James Pei, President of the Taiwanese Chamber of Commerce of New York, Mrs. Mei Tian, Board Member of the Chinese Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Chung Chin Chen, Founder of the Taiwanese American Cultural Society of the Capital District, Ms. Xu Bang Jian, Vice President of the Taiwanese American Association of the Capital District, Mrs. Chi Hua Seng, Principal of Taiwanese American Association of the Capital District, the New York Language School, my dear friend, someone who I've grown to admire over the years, who's done such great work with our community, Mrs. Jacqueline Kwan, who's the Division Director of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office, and last but not least, Mr. Fu Hiang Liu, who's the Deputy Division Director of the Taipei Economic and Cultural Office in New York. Thank you for your service to the community. Thank you for being here with us today. Be well, God bless you all, and let's enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you, Senator Sepulveda. Senator Stavisky on the resolution.
Very briefly, thank you, Madam President. And I am so proud to represent, along with Senator Liu, so many of the folks who are here today. And thank you, Senator Sepulveda, for continuing your sponsorship. But it's more than sponsorship. It's a recognition of friendship that has occurred over the years. I've known many of you for, I don't want to mention the names, for the years that I have represented the downtown Flushing area. Excuse me. And the relationship is built on, I think, respect, on common core values, and a feeling for the rich cultural heritage that today we are celebrating, but we really celebrate all year round. And to Ambassador Lee, welcome to Albany, and I hope that we continue our friendship for many years to come. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky. Senator Rivera on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. I had the opportunity to travel to Taiwan a few years ago, and I was incredibly impressed by the country, and there's one word that keeps popping up in my mind when I think of that opportunity that I had, and that is vibrant. Well, the way I describe Taiwan is they have a vibrant economy, a vibrant culture, a vibrant democracy. Vibrant economy, we got to actually visit some incredible companies that produce some of the highest technology that is in our computers and that actually make up so much of the hardware that actually is in so many technical things here in the U.S. A vibrant culture, among other things, Madam President, they had entire buildings dedicated to karaoke. I want you to think about that. A building that is nothing but karaoke on every single, it was a beautiful thing to behold. A vibrant democracy, I'm not sure if you know, Madam President, that they don't have 3 branches of government, they have 4. not only that, they gave me the opportunity to actually sit with some of the folks who run the national health system in Taiwan. And I got to ask them questions about the fact that this single-payer system has only been operational since the 90s. But they talked about some of the challenges of being able to achieve it, as well as some of the challenges they face since then, and the ways that they've been able to avert some terrible outcomes on health because of their single-payer system. I was amazed by my visit to the country. And I am hoping that I can continue to have the relationships with folks from that country because, again, this vibrancy is something that we could all learn from. I'm happy that they are here today. I'm happy that they're here to share with us the wonderful vibrancy of that country. I hope I get the chance to visit again. Thank you, Madam President, and welcome back to Albany.
Thank you, Senator Rivera. Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. And I was just reminded by Senator Stavisky, if there is a title of Commissioner of Karaoke, I would like to be the Commissioner of Karaoke. I got some rap skills from time to time. But in all seriousness, I was hearing Senator Sepulveda speak about the dedication that you given to the people of the Bronx, and I just wanted to echo that sentiment. In the worst days of the pandemic, when the Bronx was one of the hardest hit areas in the city, if not the country, and we started seeing a number of masks that came into Senator Sepulveda's office, and I called Louis and I said, Lou, where are you getting these masks from? The great people of Taiwan. And it was a humbling experience to see that people who had never met us and don't really know us, but were invested in our health, in making sure that we recovered. So I think that's the true test of leadership, being able to help people that you've never met and never will meet. So I want to thank you for your leadership and for your friendship and for coming up here today in this august chamber. I'm hopeful to go over there overseas one day and again be that first commissioner or minister of karaoke, depending on the parlance that it may be. Thank you for coming to our chamber. Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator Bailey. Senator Borrello on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to say what a pleasure it was today to go to the Taiwan Friendship Reception today. Thank you, Senator Liu, for hosting us. I'd like to thank all those that are here today. It was very nice to meet all of you. I think it's important to point out that we are seeing in the world now what it's like when dictatorships and tyrants feel emboldened. And I think we need to be concerned about what the future may be. So I think it's important for this state and this nation to stand behind Taiwan as we go into what may be an uncertain future for them and all of us. When democracy is threatened everywhere, anywhere, it is threatened here in the United States as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Borrello. Senator Liu on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to speak on this resolution. I'm very proud that my colleagues have said such wonderful words about a place that I was born in. As they all often mention, they point out to the back of my neck that is still emblazoned with Made in Taiwan. This is really a proud day for the entire delegation. We have a distinguished delegation led by Ambassador James Lee he's the director of the Taiwan Economic and Cultural Office, accompanied by members of his team, but also important community leaders from New York City, including we have the president of the Chinese Consolidated Benevolent Association, Raymond Zhang, who that organization is the historical center of the Chinese American community here in New York area, and I dare say the East Coast. He's also accompanied by Patsy Fong Chen, who is the former president of the Taiwan Association of America, a very important group that goes back almost 50 years now. And then, of course, Mr. Tom Su, who I've known since I was a kid. I grew up with his daughter. Tom Su is the president of Taiwan Center of New York, but now he is known as the father of Lisa Su, who is the chief executive officer and chairman of Advanced Micro Devices. And so this is a really august group of people who truly represent the American dream. The American dream that I and so many other generations of people from all over the world have been able to enjoy as we came here to America, as we came here to New York. I think my colleagues have said it far better than I could ever say. The mention of karaoke, the mention of food, of culture, you guys forgot foot massages. Taiwan's all known for all of that. But it's important to note that our health chair, Gustavo Rivera, mentioned the healthcare system, the single-payer national healthcare system, that benefits the nearly 30 million people in Taiwan. That is a model for the entire world to emulate, including here in the United States and in New York. Beyond healthcare, the sciences, Taiwan is the capital, the international capital of the semiconductor industry. And with COVID and some of the challenges that Taiwan has faced, we've all felt the shortage in semiconductors and the necessary components to many of our advanced technological devices. And last but not least, beyond the technology, beyond the medicine, after 400 years of occupation by foreign countries on the island of Taiwan, the people of Taiwan have persevered, and they have developed into a modern-day liberal democracy, one that is revered by nations and societies all across this planet. So we've got lots to celebrate for Taiwan, what it is today, and I'm very proud to say that I indeed was born in Taiwan. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Liu. To our guests, we welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. The resolution was previously adopted on April 26. Senator Gianaris.
Madam President, speaking of the American dream, let's take up a resolution about the place that embodies that dream here in New York. Resolution 2536 by Senator Stavisky. Read that resolution's title and recognize Senator Stavisky.
The Secretary will read.
Senate Resolution 2536 by Senator Stavisky, memorializing Governor Kathy Hochul to proclaim May 10, 2022 as Queen's Day in the state of New York.
Senator Stavisky on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President, and welcome. Everybody in the gallery, I think, is from Queens or has an association with Queens. We especially welcome in the gallery, and there are many people, but there are 4 people whom we should mention. Howard Graff, the new chair of the board, Joanne Prasad, the Chief of Operations for the Queens Chamber of Commerce, Michelle Stoddard, Associate Secretary of the Board, and Patricia Mizell, the Treasurer. The resolution was not read. However, the County of Queens is certainly represented here today. Queens, as someone said, is the most culturally diverse county probably in the country, with all due respect to my colleague from the Bronx. We represent 2.3 million people. 138 languages are spoken in our schools, and people come from 150 different countries throughout the world. And when we talk about Queens, you ask somebody where they're from, they're not going to say Queens. They're going to say, Senator Gianaris will say Astoria. Senator Ramos will say Jackson Heights. Senator Liu, aside from Taiwan, will say Bayside. Bayside. He's a former president of the North Flushing Civic Association, which is how I first got to know him. Do we have any other Queens people? I am a Queensite by choice, not by birth, but I am formerly from Forest Hills and now from Whitestone. In other words, we are a county of neighborhoods, of towns. The post office, you don't send a letter to me, Queens, New York, you send it to the post office, the local designation. That, I think, is unique in the city of New York. The County of Queens is home to 2 major airports. Think of that. People coming from all over the country and all over the world. They land most of them land in Queens, and we certainly hope they stay here and not continue elsewhere. Queens has become a tourist destination for sports, for the Mets, and for tennis. And people enjoy these sports, particularly when our teams are winning. Let's repeat, I think Senator Gianaris will repeat the 1969, yep. People come to Queens also for our museums, for our studios, for film development, for film tapings, and for television. And in fact, the slogan has been, come to Queens and see the world. Restaurants, people come for our restaurants. You can't go hungry. If you can afford the restaurants, we have something for everybody. And I am particularly proud of the colleges and the universities that are in Queens. CUNY has a very significant presence with Queens College and Queensborough Community College, both of which are in my Senate district. I chair the Committee on Higher Ed. But we also have St. John's, we have York, we have LaGuardia, and many other institutions. And they come for horse racing, Senator Adabo's area. They come for the casinos, and perhaps there are going to be additional casinos somewhere in the county of Queens. But to me, the most important part are the small businesses. This is not a one-industry town. We have all kinds of small businesses that really are the backbone of our economy. So, diversity, we speak with one voice, and that's the voice of progress. We welcome newcomers, and especially tonight, the Chamber of Commerce would like to invite everybody from 5:30 to 7:30, Heart Lounge, to taste what they see when they go window shopping at restaurants. They are all coming up here. Many of them are coming up here with their specialties, and we invite everybody to the Heart Lounge. And we certainly, again, extend a welcome to our friends, not just from Taiwan, but from the Queens Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Stavisky. Senator Ramos on the resolution.
Oh, thank you, Madam President. This is one of my favorite days in Albany. It is Queens Day. It's the day we celebrate the best county in the state of New York. That's right. We are the most diverse. People from all over the world come and live in Queens to raise a family, to make their American dream come true. And of course, my family is no exception. My family immigrated to Queens in the 70s from Colombia. I'm proud to be born and raised in my district, where I'm also raising 2 boys. And you might recall that a few years ago on Queens Day pre-pandemic, I rapped a few lyrics from Mobb Deep on the Senate floor to express my pride. But this year we decided to do something a little different, and we crowdsourced a few reasons why some of my neighbors love being from Queens, and I want to share some of these with you. One neighbor wrote, because nowhere else in the world can you walk 3 blocks and hear 15 different languages. It's amazing. You don't understand what anybody's saying unless you ask. I love it. Where else can you get a slice, a samosa, and a spicy tuna roll on the same block? In Queens, actually right in Jackson Heights on 37th Avenue between 77th and 78th Street. I have some recommendations. We're leading the way on safe streets and getting creative with open space, including 31st Street and the 34th Avenue open streets, the Queens Greenway, the 39th Avenue Bike Boulevard, and much more. We're the birthplace of the St. Patty's for All Parade, where we don't discriminate against anybody, and anybody and everybody can march in our St. Patrick's Patrick's Day Parade. You can catch a good drag show at the Albatross in Astoria. We have incredible food and immigrant-owned small businesses, including our beloved street vendors in Corona Plaza and along Roosevelt Avenue, of course. We're home to hardworking people, and Queens get the money, some of my neighbors say. Another neighbor, Karen, shouted out our parks: Flushing Meadows, Forest Park, Astoria Park, and even Rockaway Beach. We have some great beaches in Queens. And of course, I personally love Queens because, as they say, Queens is the future. Our borough of Queens is a model for multi-ethnic, multicultural, multilingual democratic society, one where we know that we can call our diversity home. And I would be tremendously remiss if I did not shout out our home team leading the way so far. Maybe, perhaps. We don't want to jinx it. But let's go Mets. Thank you, Madam President. Actually, before I close, I do want to shout out some of my friends from Lefrak City, my neighbors who are up there, Malika Shabazz, Sylvia Martin, who are very involved with our youth over in Lefrak City and have been working to advocate for our libraries. Thank you so much for being here. Queens get the money. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Ramos. Senator Bailey on the resolution.
Thank you, Madam President. For those who have heard that familiar refrain, that is called "The Bridge is Over." Oh, no. The bridge is over, the bridge is over. But what is not over is the love that I have for Queens. Senator Stavisky referenced it earlier in that we often have a friendly battle of the boroughs type of banter. And we all know that the Bronx is the best, even though every day is Bronx Day. That's why we don't need to have a resolution and things like that, because every day is Bronx Day. So we don't have to do that. But today is the day that we have to celebrate the great borough of Queens. If Senator Comrie was here, and he's recovering, Senator Comrie would be waxing poetic about all of the great hip-hop artists from Queens, and he'd be talking about how it was the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'd be telling him that he was wrong, because we all know that hip-hop started at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue, again, in the boogie-down Bronx. But we would appreciate hearing from Senator Comrie about the rich culture of Southeast Queens and about how it's a mirror image to the Northeast Bronx and how we have a shared Caribbean culture in both of those areas. One of the great things about this chamber is that what unites us is greater, far greater than what divides us, and these district lines and these county lines are rather arbitrary when it really comes down to it. I have a significant allegiance to Queens for a couple of reasons. I met my wife in Queens. I went to CUNY Law School. And despite being from the Bronx, I am a big-time New York Mets fan. So I am hopeful that this is the year that we get to go to the Canyon of Heroes and have a parade. But each and every day we should be celebrating residents of 5 boroughs and beyond. And I'm grateful to all of my colleagues and their contributions from the great borough of Queens, those who have stayed and those who have left Queens, like Senator Savino, and those who will be looking for a new place to live. Just don't leave the Bronx and go to Queens. That wouldn't make any sense in any world, any shape, form, or fashion. I will say this, as a proud Bronx High School of Science graduate, I went to school with a lot of Queens residents as well. It was almost Queen Science, as we hear Senator John Liu talking about, another member of the Bronx Science Triangle that we have here. No, but in all seriousness, I'm looking forward to seeing and fellowshipping with you later on in the Egg, and I'm really grateful for the contributions that Queens gives to our society. Culturally, it's incredible, very diverse, the point of entry and exit for international flights in New York State, and we're grateful for the contributions that Queens gives every single day, and let's go Mets.
Thank you. Senator Savino on the resolution.
Madam President, as they say, you can take the girl out of Queens, but you can't take the Queens out of the girl. I have made Staten Island my home for the past 21 years, and very happy to be there, but Queens will always be my home. For the reasons you heard my colleagues talk about, you heard Senator Stavisky talk about all the wonderful things that Queens presents, and Senator Ramos waxes poetic about the neighborhood that I actually lived in. She and I grew up in the same place. I grew up in Senator Gianaris' district, born and raised in Astoria. I lived in Jackson Heights for several years. I went to high school in Senator Comrie's district. I went to college there, and every 2 weeks I go back to Senator Lou's district to get my nails done. Queens is in my blood. It's where my family came from. It's where they came to as immigrants, too. They came from the Lower East Side first, and they found their way to Queens. Queens to them was the country. And we think about how different it is now, even different from when I was growing up. But it is a fabulous place for all of the reasons that has been described. And for those of you who have never been there, you should go and visit and spend some time there. It really is a wonderful, beautiful community. And my only regret is that I will never make enough money to be able to go back there and buy a house in the community that I grew up in. But I live in hope. Maybe one day I will. So congratulations to all of my colleagues who are from Queens. Welcome to all of your visitors from Queens, and I certainly look forward to sharing some time with you later tonight. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Lou on the resolution.
Madam President, I wasn't going to speak, but these people are saying I need to speak. I will only add a little bit of history about what Queens is. You know, Queens didn't always exist. Queens actually didn't exist prior to 1898. Before 1898, we had the city of New York, including Manhattan and the Bronx. We had Richmond County, also known as Staten Island. We had the great city of Brooklyn. It's like nobody from Brooklyn here today. It's amazing. Oh, Roxanne. But Brooklyn's in the house. But Queens was 5 villages which decided, the 5 villages of Long Island City, Newtown, Flushing, Jamaica, and Far Rockaway, who democratically decided that they wanted to be part of New York City and the consolidation, the modern-day consolidation of the 5 boroughs. And these 5 villages figured that they needed to call themselves something. They were the new county or the new borough. So, well, you know, truth be told, they looked at the map. They saw Kings County right next door. So they said, well, we'll be Queens County. And that's how Queens came about. Unfortunately, Hempstead and Oyster Bay did not decide to join New York City. They created Nassau County, but that's a different story. So Queens has been around since 1898, proudly so. And as well has already been mentioned, you know, it's become really a powerhouse onto its own. I mentioned earlier that I immigrated to Queens as a young child, and I've seen every part of Queens, and therefore I've seen every part of the world. So, Madam President, today indeed is Queens Day, and at 5 o'clock at the Hart Lounge, we're going to have sample. 5:30, you sure?
Yeah, 5:30.
Okay, 5:30.
We'll tell them 5 so they get there by 6.
5:30.
No, it's 5. It's 5. They said 5.
Yeah. Well, I have a flyer that says 5, but maybe it's 5:30. Everybody go at 4:30 so you start on time at 5 or 5:30. It doesn't matter. Just get there to the Hart Lounge. You'll sample every part of Queens and therefore every part of the world. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Lou. Senator Gianaris to close.
Thank you, Madam President. Since everybody else has spoken, I figured I should get my 2 cents in too, to just simply say that we all know that Queens is the best. The best food, the best neighborhoods. Thank you very much, yes. We have the best food, the best neighborhoods, the best sports team. And it's, incidentally, we let Senator Bailey speak on this because it's not easy being a Mets fan from the Bronx, so we appreciate him. Airport's not so much the best, but that's okay. And yes, the best people. And we take great pride in our roots from Queens. I'm sorry that Senator Savino left us. You know, she's leaving the Senate as well, so maybe you'll make enough to come back to Queens, Diane, in your new life. But I do want to welcome our guests and thank them for coming up to spread the great things about Queens with our colleagues, so we could let our friends, not just from New York City, but from all around the state, enjoy and partake in all that we know that we are. Senator Rivera, by the way, comes and visits for dinner on a regular basis, I know, so keep coming back, because you know Queens is the best, Senator Rivera, as we all do. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, everyone, for supporting this resolution, and we'll see you all at the reception tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gianaris. To our guests from Queens, I welcome you on behalf of the Senate. We extend to you the privileges and courtesies of the House. Please rise and be recognized. The question is on the resolution. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator Gianaris. The resolutions are both open for co-sponsorship. Should you choose not to be a co-sponsor of the resolutions, please notify the desk. Senator Gianaris. The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 265, Senate Print 5960 by Senator Reichman Melnick, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 449, Assembly number 7363A by Assemblymember Gottfried, an act to amend the civil practice law and rules.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Rivera to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Medical debt should not exist. Madam President, think of this. A situation in which you find yourself with a pain somewhere in your stomach and you go to the emergency room. You get treated, you wake up after having been operated on, and then a couple of weeks later receive a bill for $200,000. Now, this is not something that is a fantasy. This is a type of situation that happens to many people around the country and certainly here in the state of New York. Medical debt should not exist, yet it does. There are bills that are under consideration that would take care of that, but that's a conversation for another day. For today, however, the bill that's before us, and that I will proudly support, Madam President, is a product of the work of many folks who understand that we can do something about medical debt in the state. Particularly the folks at the Community Service Society, I will recognize it has been a lot of the data that they've been able to gather that tells us that 8% of New Yorkers have delinquent medical debt that appears on their credit records. The fact is that even some of my colleagues who unfortunately voted in the negative today, the problem is actually most pervasive upstate. The fact is that medical debt is strongly related to housing instability. There's so much that can happen, and so this bill would actually make it so that, unlike the current condition, if there is a particular debt that you have, you can actually have that hospital or that medical institution actually place a lien on your home or garnish your wages. The idea that this is something that currently happens is unfathomable, and even during the pandemic, Madam President, just in the year of the pandemic, about 4,000 New Yorkers were sued by hospitals for their medical debt. So bottom line, this is something that should not exist, but because it does, it requires us to take legislative action. There are other pieces of legislation that hopefully we will get passed before the end of the year, but I'm certainly proud to pass this bill today, vote in the affirmative of it, vote in the affirmative, because we cannot have a system in which your home or your wages are losing those could be the result of just getting sick. We need to make sure that we erase that. Today we start to do that. I'll vote in the affirmative, Madam President. Thank you.
Senator Rivera to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 449, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Boyle, Helming, Jordan, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 47, nays 15.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 579, Senate Print 8170 by Senator Harkam, an act to amend the judiciary law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Senator Harkam to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I'd like to thank the Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, for advancing this measure today. I would also like to thank Assemblymember Kevin Byrne, who is here with us today, for conceiving of this legislation and asking me to carry it in the Senate, which I am honored to. This bill renames Courtroom 301 for Judge James F. Reitz in the Putnam County Courthouse. Who was Judge Reitz, you may ask yourself? Well, first, he was the most beloved elected official that I have ever met. I think many of us would give our left arm to be beloved the way Judge Reitz was beloved. But when you know Judge Reitz, you know he was beloved because he loved. You know, he founded the Putnam County Drug Treatment Court, And we talk a lot about drug court. Judge Reitz was very clear to make it known this was drug treatment court. And we have a lot of discussions in this chamber about criminal justice reform and pre- and post-trial diversion and compassion and redemption. Judge Reitz lived that every day and put that in practice every day in his courtroom. And when you speak to people who appeared before Judge Reitz, it wasn't like Judge Reitz was fair, Judge Reitz was an okay judge. What they all say was that Judge Reitz saved my life. And that is a powerful legacy. And unfortunately, Judge Reitz was taken from us too soon in 2019. We're honored today to be joined by Judge Reitz's wife, Barbara, who is no stranger to public service and no stranger to this chamber. She worked for one of my predecessors in the seat that I now hold for 6 years back in our shared district. And she's also ran the Putnam County Youth Bureau for decades and the Putnam County Youth Court. So from henceforth, this courtroom will honor Judge Reitz's legacy of compassion, of love, of wisdom, and while he is no longer with us, his memory and his legacy and the way to treat people dealing with substance use disorder will always live on. Madam Chair, I vote aye.
Senator Harkin to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Serino to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. And I want to say thank you to Barbara Reitz for being with us today. I rise to express my support for this legislation, and I want to thank Senator Harkin for drafting and introducing a bill that honors the life and the legacy of a person that meant so much to so many in our local community. Judge James Reitz was truly one of a kind, and not a day goes by that our community does not feel the weight of that loss. He cared so deeply about our community and about people in general. He was someone who led with compassion, and he saw not only the good in everyone that he met, but their potential as well. Judge Reitz is famous for pioneering the drug treatment court in Putnam County, and he was a real trailblazer on this front, helping to establish a very successful model for so many others. And that was almost, I think, 20 years ago, and I think 300 people, just about 300 people have come through that court. You know, over the years, I've met a number of people who went through Judge Reitz's drug treatment court, and I learned that so many of them wanted to be successful in their recovery because of our judge. He had a way of inspiring people even in their darkest moments. And I think many who came through his courtroom really did not want to disappoint Judge Reitz, who always went the extra mile to help them realize that they were really getting another chance at life. Naming this courtroom in honor is a fitting tribute to a man who was so committed to this important cause. His legacy lives on, not only in this courtroom, but every individual who ever came through its doors whose lives he touched, and there were so many. I am incredibly proud to be able to vote in support of this bill today, and I thank this chamber for advancing it. I vote aye.
Be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 626, Senate Print 4839B by Senator Biaggi, an act to amend the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act take effect January 1st, 2023.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Biaggi to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, New York is halfway towards joining 5 other states, California, Nevada, Illinois, Virginia, and Maryland, as well as 8 other countries, the European Union, which is obviously more than one country, India, Taiwan, New Zealand, Norway, South Korea, Switzerland, and Guatemala, in becoming a cruelty-free cosmetic act state. So what is this bill? This is a bill that is necessary because despite decades of activism and public outcry, animal testing remains in use across the United States. Today, New York in the Senate passes this bill. We are looking forward to the New York State Assembly also passing this bill. And I have to say that I am incredibly grateful not only to my colleagues, but also to the Majority Leader for prioritizing this important legislation. And in a really important, I think, moment of bipartisanship, I'm very, very grateful to Senator Phil Boyle for working with me on this issue, writing an op-ed and raising awareness to people who really didn't know that New York was one of the states that actually didn't prevent this from happening. Every single day, cosmetic companies are subjecting animals to truly horrifying tests so that they can test harsh chemicals on them. It is, frankly, it's inhumane, it's immoral, it's unethical, and we don't need to do it anymore. I am very proud to sponsor this bill. I'm very grateful again to the Majority Leader and to my colleagues that we have prioritized this bill, and I really do look forward to this passing in the Assembly and then having our governor sign this to make New York become the 6th state in the country to make sure that we are cruelty-free. Thank you very much.
Senator Biaggi to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Boyle to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. To explain my vote, first I'd like to thank Senator Biaggi for her leadership. This is an issue that I've worked on for 30 years. As a congressional staff person, in 1990, I had my boss, Congressman Horton, introduce legislation to ban animal testing for cosmetics. 30 years later, they're still doing it, and they don't have to. We have the technology to do it by computers, many other ways, without doing a Dre's rabbit test where they put chemicals in rabbits' eyes and leave them there for 3 days. They put chemicals on the skin of mice and leave it there for days and hours and weeks even to test for irritation. They itch and they itch and they itch and they can't do anything about it. We are about to change New York State law and join California and Illinois and other large states, and we are going to change the entire commercial enterprise of testing on cosmetics. Because when we have an entire industry that doesn't do it, the companies are not going to be able to sell their products. I want to again thank Senator Biaggi for your leadership. We've been working on this a while. I never thought it was going to be here. I really am truly grateful. And would I?
Senator Boyle to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Aye, 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 663, Assembly number 9284A by Assemblymember Glick, enactment of the insurance law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day, it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Dabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 663, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Steck, and White. You said Martucci instead of Matera. Excuse me. It's Matera. Rath is there. Okay. Sorry, I read that. Borrello, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Steck, and White. Ayes 50, nays 12.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 727, Assembly number 355A by Assemblymember Braunstein, enactment of the Administrative Code of the City of New York.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 779, Senate Print 7317 by Senator Ort, enactment Chapter 19 of the laws of 1985.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 806, Senate Print 4344 by Senator Brooke, enactment of the executive law and the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 821, Assembly number 8646 by Assemblymember Thiel, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 836, Senate Print 6709B by Assemblymember Rosenthal, an act to amend the Social Services law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Results.
In relation to calendar 836, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Aye 43, nays 19.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 843, Senate Print 7621 by Senator Serrano, an act to amend the Public Authorities Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 847, Senate Print 63B by Senator Passard, an act to amend the Social Services Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of April.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 847, voted in the negative, Senator Oberacker. Ayes 61, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 850, Senate Print 555C by Senator May, an act to amend the Elder Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 856, Assembly number 2441 by Assemblymember Aubrey, an act to amend the Corrections Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 856, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Martucci, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, Ritchie, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 47, nays 15.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 858, Senate Print 3034A by Senator Parker, an act to amend the Public Service Law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 30th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 858, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Jordan, Martucci, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Steck, and White. Ayes 50, nays 12. Also Senator Boyle. Ayes 49, nays 13.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 859, Senate Print 3145 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 1st of January.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 877, Senate Print 4221 by Senator Stavisky, an act to amend the Business Corporation Law.
Read the last section.
Section 14, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart-Cousins, White.
Announce results.
In relation to calendar 877, voted in the negative, Senator Lanza. Ayes 61, nays 1.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 936, Senate Print 4778A by Senator White, an act in relation to authorizing the assessor of the town of Brookhaven to accept an application for exemption from real property taxes.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 936, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar and O'Mara. Ayes 60, nays 2.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 974, Senate Print 3085A by Senator Stewart Cousins, an act to amend the real property tax law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 978, Senate Print 960 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
The bill is laid aside.
Calendar number 979, Senate Print 1130 by Senator Gianaris, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Read the last section.
Section 7, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Gianaris to explain his vote.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's fair to say that most people don't realize what goes into getting that cute doggy in the window of these pet stores throughout the state. There's not a store in New York that is not getting their animals for sale from awful puppy mills throughout the country. It is a problem that has permeated the entire industry. In fact, in the course of lobbying for this bill with my colleagues, I would say to them often, name me a pet store you're concerned about. And lo and behold, we'd go back and look at the records, and there was not one that did not have a stain on its record from its suppliers who treat animals with such horrible cruelty that even with the lax enforcement of the federal government, which is almost non-existent, would still be found in violation. Animals sitting in their own feces, female animals that were summarily executed because they weren't capable of breeding anymore, illnesses left and right that end up, by the way, making for unhealthy puppies and kittens and bunnies that people take home and then have to incur thousands of dollars in veterinary costs as a result. What we're proposing here is a way to stop the puppy mill to pet store pipeline, prohibit the sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits in these stores, certainly allow people to adopt and rescue animals. There's thousands of good animals out there in need of adoption. And if people are desirous of a particular breed or something unique, they can still deal directly with reputable breeders and get their animals that way. But what we have now is an industry that is treating these living beings that in many cases are our family members like they're commodities, like they're cans of soup on the supermarket shelf, just to be mass-produced and then taken back. You know, we had an incident recently on Long Island where someone purchased an animal that turned out to be very, very sick. And you know what the store said as part of their response was, well, they could bring it back and we'll exchange it for another one. This was their defense, as if it's just a product, not a living entity with feelings and emotions. It's time to put that part of the industry to rest. Close them down. 98% of pet store business is not from selling animals, it's from selling products and supplies and foods. So we're not destroying an industry, we're saving lives. And I appreciate my colleagues who have worked with me in support of this and passed this bill in years past. I'm glad we're doing it again today. I know the Assembly moved it out of committee today. Hopefully they will also pass it later this year. We can finally get this done and do what's right for these animals that we love. Thank you, Madam President.
Senator Gianaris to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 979, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Griffo, Jordan, O'Mara, and Ritchie. Ayes 57, nays 5.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 980, Senate Assembly number 4978B by Assemblymember Engelbright, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 180th day of it shall become a law.
Read the last section.
Call the roll. Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 981, Senate Print 4081A by Senator Hinchey, an act to amend the Agriculture and Markets Law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
Bill is passed.
Calendar number 988, Assembly number 9561 by Assemblymember Simpson, an act to authorize certain healthcare professionals licensed to practice in other jurisdictions to practice in this state.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1002, Senate Print 3683D by Senator Felder, an act to amend the Family Court Act.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1014, Senate Print 8429A by Senator Ryan, an act to amend the education law.
Read the last section.
Section 5, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1036, Senate Print 2814 by Senator Sepulveda, an act to amend the environmental conservation law.
Read the last section.
Section 4, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar number 1036, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, Ritchie, and Steck. Ayes 52, nays 10.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1037, Senate Print 4203 by Senator Adabo, an act to amend the environmental conservation law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 90th day of the shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White. In relation to calendar 1037, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Griffo, Jordan, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, Steck, and Tedisco. Ayes 52, nays 10.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1078, Senate Print 8599B by Senator Claire, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect 1 year after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, Ort, Stewart, Cousins, White.
Announce the results. Sorry. Senator Clear to explain her vote.
Thank you, Madam President. When it comes to health, our mothers and children, particularly in communities of color, we must take every precaution and explore every opportunity to expand and empower services to those who are pregnant. According to the New York State Department of Health, the number of early syphilis diagnoses in pregnant individuals has increased by 483% since 2000, an increase of over 1,400 individuals. Though first trimester screening is currently mandated, it is not inclusive of all cases where congenital syphilis can be passed from mother to child. Sadly, if not caught in a timely fashion and treated with antibiotics, congenital syphilis can dramatically increase the risk of miscarriages, fetal growth restriction, and neonatal death. This is the classic case of an ounce of prevention and early intervention being worth so much more than the cure. A recent study by the American College of Gynecologists concluded that repeat screening for syphilis is superior to single screening during the first trimester, and is both cost-effective and results in improvement in maternal and neonatal outcomes. Therefore, this bill does two things. It encourages third trimester syphilis testing where appropriate and ensures that congenital syphilis is a covered topic in the Department of Health's Healthcare and Wellness Education and Outreach Program. We owe women and children this vital protection. I vote aye.
Senator Clear to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 1081, Senate Print 5129 by Senator Kennedy.
Read the last section.
An act to amend the workers' compensation law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 62.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of today's calendar.
Please go to the reading of the controversial calendar.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 978, Senate Print 960 by Senator Kruger, an act to amend the agriculture and markets law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Madam President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator White to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Accordingly, Madam President, I appeal the ruling of the chair and ask that you recognize Senator White.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator White may be heard.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because this bill protects animals by changing the aggravated animal cruelty statute to make it easier to prosecute animal abusers. The proposed amendment protects animals by repealing the dangerous bail reform laws that allow those that are harming animals to walk free immediately after being arrested on those animal abuse charges. While I support this legislation and I advocate for our animals and recognize the importance of protecting them, we cannot adequately do so unless or until we repeal our bail reform laws. Innocent New Yorkers have been paying the price for this disastrous cashless bail system since it became law. We consistently see the impact these laws have on our state as violent crime continues to surge, while criminals are being released with nothing preventing them from continuing to victimize our citizens and pets. These laws have made our communities less safe and have harmed countless New Yorkers. And sadly, these laws have made New Yorkers less safe for our animals as well. Animal cruelty is an unimaginably tragic crime. Innocent animals, pets who rely on humans to survive, are in far more danger than they were under our old bail laws. Our broken bail system requires that anyone arrested for harming an animal, even those charged with felony aggravated animal cruelty, be released immediately without any bail. This includes a person who intentionally engages in conduct which is intended to cause extreme physical pain to an animal or intentionally injures an animal in an especially depraved or sadistic manner. It is unfathomable that we have a system that allows the offenders who harm our pets in this way to go back out into their communities where they can hurt more innocent animals. Our citizens continue to suffer the consequences of our bail laws, while the criminals continue to benefit from them. Even when a crime is bail eligible, judges are not able to consider the danger of a person possesses to the community, to our citizens, to our pets, when making a custody decision. It is time that we fix our broken system. We must prioritize our innocent and vulnerable citizens over the criminals that victimize them. We must change the laws that are destroying our communities and hurting New Yorkers. We must keep dangerous criminals off our streets by restoring judicial discretion and repealing these bail laws. For these reasons, Madam President, I strongly urge you to reconsider your ruling.
Thank you, Senator. I want to remind the House the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Request a show of hands.
Madam President, we've agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 978, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Bridgeport and Myrie. Ayes 60, nays 2.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
Thank you, Madam President. If I could return to motions for a moment. On behalf of Senator May, on page 42, I offer the following amendments to Calendar 874, Senate 2025A, and ask that it retain its place on third reading calendar.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar.
On behalf of Senator Reichman Melnick, on page 59, I offer the following amendments to calendar 1061, Senate 8258, and ask that it retain its place on third reading calendar.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading calendar.
On behalf of you, Madam President, I wish to call up Senate 244A, recalled from the Assembly, which is now at the desk.
Secretary will read.
Calendar number 129, Senate Print 244A by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the general business law.
Move to reconsider the vote by which the bill was passed.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Gianaris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White, ayes 62.
The bill is restored to its place on the third reading calendar.
I offer the following amendments.
The amendments are received, and the bill will retain its place on the third reading
Is there
calendar.
any further business at the desk?
There is no further business at the desk.
Move to adjourn until tomorrow, Wednesday, May 11th at 11 a.m.
Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, May 11th at 11 a.m. Thank you.